This is an open letter to Uncle Sam, my pink skinned uncle. Uncle, it's about sanctions. And what does it mean, and what purpose does it serve? Sanctions of any kind, blockading. Sanctions is basically the new word for blockading. That means, imagine in a school, everybody has gone to school, right? Primary school. Imagine in a primary school yard, the big kid doesn't like one of the kids, or a few of the kids. The big kid doesn't like a few of the kids. And the big kid says to everybody else in the classroom, sitting down, says, I believe we should blockade them, and any friend of theirs is no friend of mine. That's what sanctions is. Any friend of these few motherfuckers I don't like is no friend of mine. Nobody can talk to these folks. These few people in the class of 30, I pick on 3 and I said nobody should talk to these 3. Because I don't like them. I don't like their attitude. I don't like their behavior. I don't like it. And because I have the large penis in the classroom, everybody has to listen to me. Sounds a bit mafia-ish, doesn't it? It's like a mafia, sort of like mafia has got a big penis, puts it on the table and says, whoever doesn't pay up, or whoever deals with those people who don't pay up, anybody who deals with those people who don't pay up, they automatically become our enemy, or they have to pay a penalty. We charge them. Our courts rule that since you dealt with one of these motherfuckers that we don't like, our courts rule that there must be paid a penalty. And every one of them pays. If we say you should not deal with these guys, you should not deal with these guys, and sometimes the head of the big kid in the class is not the chess player, but it's the footballer, somebody stupid like Mr. T or Average George. They come in, they see the power, they are, just, you're giving an average man the power of such power. An average man. I ask you, can an average man have access to this kind of power that lies in the top executive chair of, Uganda or United States? Or the top person in that executive chair must be much, much more intelligent than a lot of us. Because it has great power. It needs great intelligence to run it, the fucking thing, because it's got so many buttons. You see, the ship of state has so many buttons. They have put so many buttons on it because it's a very sophisticated ship. unless it's Afghanistan. Well, not much sophistication, and we see the result. The more stable the ship, the more fucking buttons it has, because it wants to control every little thing. So yes, you have the NSA, but other countries also need to have theirs to keep some kind of fucking stability going on. Anybody whose territory is unstable is the problem. I'm not sure about. Here's the thing, Uncle Sam, I don't get it. I love you, man. The states that have kept order must be traded more with, and the state that have kept less order must be persuaded to keep some kind of fucking order. And as an advantage, you would say, if you can keep order, we will trade with you. Order is the purpose. Civilization only sticks around with order. And it has to be intelligent order. You cannot give the captaincy of the ship to an average guy. Period. There used to be some, unwritten rules for the parties, Democrat and Republican. There were some unwritten rules that we are not going to front fools. And the Republicans, right on Reagan, the Republicans declared, no, we don't have to, the guy doesn't have to be very intelligent. I don't know about previous to the few that I know of presidents of the United States previous to Reagan. These seem to be, all there. As in, like, the guy was, a civil servant or a lawyer, or has been in the academic world and has rubbed some shoulder with some fucking people who have, who mattered, listened to them, talked with them. They have, a set of ideas of their own. Not the jock. Not the baseball coach. TV personality. Being TV personality is not, shouldn't be that difficult. As opposed to, being a professor of theoretical physics with 25 years of teaching experience. I mean, you're going to get, if the Republican Party and the Democratic Party both agree that they should only have PhDs, present front PhDs, the Democratic Party agrees that they have been doing. The Democratic Party, at least this is what they have been doing. The policies are still half-ass wrong, but still, at least the guy sitting in the fucking chair, he's more intelligent than you. Because they have, at least risen to the level of a master's degree. Or in case of Obama, a PhD. And teaching. So you had a good ship going. So a guy who could do that, who could manage such a position for a long time as a teacher, teaching very smart people interesting stuff, which is good for humanity or this fucking civilization you have put together. So these people is the people you want. You want to stay with the brainiacs, and you find the brainiacs in the universities. Not in TV studios. Brainiacs, get bored in the fucking TV studio. Dealing with bullshit. But the point is this, you want brainiacs for these jobs. And to find those brainiacs, you have to go to your universities. And I went way sideways. I was trying to get to sanctions, but here's the thing. If there was an intelligent guy in charge all these years, imagine equivalent to Reagan, who had a PhD in astronomy. In astronomy, who cares what the fuck is the PhD about? The guy knows a lot of things about so little that he recognizes that everything is deep. I should not, start a ripple if I can't fucking control its dimensions. Take it easy. Shake hands with everybody. Don't try to, extort everyone. Here's the thing. Sanctions is basically extortion. Sanction is basically saying that, nope, you have not been nice. So, but you have not. We don't care if you're nice. You're not nice to any other one of these motherfuckers. But to the big dog here, if you're not nice, we make everybody else stop talking with you and dealing with you and selling anything to you. It's just us. The rest you can fuck each other as much as you like. But as long as you listen to us, me, the top dog, we can get along. I don't care what the fuck you do with the other people. And that's exactly sanctions. Being sanctioned by, an empire. I mean, we're talking at this point, imagine the Greek Empire imposing a sanction on a small city on the Trojan side that, was not making it clear whose side they're on. And that's what the empires have a problem with. They're like, okay, either you're on our side, if you're on the edge. You're on our side or you're on their side. You have to make up your mind. These are the conditions on being on our side, and those are the conditions being on their side. Now, whoever the fucking side is, it doesn't matter, because sanctions, as you can see, are mostly being applied to countries like Venezuela, countries with identity. Nobody has a stronger identity in Latin America than Venezuela. It's the coincidence of history, it's geography, it's the first place, the closest place, on the tip, which, you would think is somehow has some kind of, can have some kind of control over that, the thinnest part between the two continents. Iran, the bottleneck of the Silk Road, when trains were not around. So the problem becomes these countries, or the fucking Koreans, very racist, very, these guys have got some, oomph. Now you were able to turn the oomph of the Japanese into your advantage. Basically say, okay, we're partners here. We help you, you help us, We need an island next to the mainland on our side. Yeah, but here's the thing. The whole idea of the mafioso aspect of it, that since Saddam was a ruler, I'm not even going to enter any of the details of it. From a perspective of an alien, Saddam was basically was a brown guy in charge of some brown folks in a brown land. I mean, if you don't threaten him, threatening him, he sees himself as his people. He sees himself as his people, and and he wasn't planning on going anywhere. This was not Mobutu Sese Seko that had to go to, or Idi Amin, who had to go to Saudi Arabia once their people rose against them. weren't rising against their leaders. Their leader, Saddam, was a nationalist guy. And the whole idea of the British taking a piece of Iraq and calling it Kuwait, right on the edge of the Persian Gulf, that which basically is basically strangling upstream. If you basically carve a very important piece of a country that's whose only access to warm waters is in the Persian Gulf, and you just give a little piece, a chunk of it over there, a small chunk of it to a tribe there. Who recognized that? The British, the French, Uncle Sam, everybody recognized that, so it became legal that Kuwait, a piece of Iraq, I'm not saying a piece of Iraq. Again, look at it from the alien's perspective. From the alien's perspective, these tribes that you have down here is meaningless. What the alien sees is pink, brown, black skin all through the earth. On the northern hemisphere you got the pink people, in the middle you got the brown people, at the really hot places you got the black people. You have, you pink skins have, tried to make this thing out of order. Oh, we're going to take some here, this land from black folks over here, and we take some that land from the red folks over there, and red folks, yeah, get up, move, die, we don't care what happens. Move and die on the way, so hopefully none of you arrive at the destination. That was what Trail of Tears was about. But the whole point is this: it's sort of like, stop reproducing. The fucking Pope, if he opens up his mouth and says, okay, yeah, contraception, all good here, then maybe there would be still redskins around. You see what I'm saying? This whole idea of we have to multiply, and we have to multiply to be more than the other side, and it's a little bacteria-ish. Bacteria-ish. A bacteria would think as such that whatever it takes, more of my genetic information should stick around on this earth than everybody else's. That's how fungi grow. They say fungi grow under, in woody lands, and one fungi can stretch for miles. Folks, we are more intelligent than that. I'm sure we are. Even the rich people, even Raytheon, who is making their money out of, blowing up goats on Earth, I suggest, please, point that fucking thing to the sky. Go, whatever you defend Earth. Let's put it this way. Imagine there's a enemy out there. Let's, defend Earth from enemy out there. There are no enemies on Earth. There's some governments that have a little more national pride and expected better treatment, and mostly the pink skin, I love you, Pope brothers. You don't want to give that respect to a certain countries, and sort of like, no, you're a fucking brown skin, you're even lower than Saudi Arabia. Because Saudi Arabia is, we are brothers. We got, oil for dollar deal. But a lot of people in the middle suffer. That's the whole point. A lot of people in the middle suffer. And folks, it doesn't have to be like that. You're more intelligent than that. And this whole idea of, it's not the president that says sanctions so much, that the whole machinery expects it. It expects that these are the black hats and those are the white hats, and this is what we understand. And it takes for a representative from one of those refugee countries to come to eventually find her way, thank God for that, to the House of Representatives, stating that, oh motherfuckers, stop killing us, brown people over there. Rashida Tlaib, that it takes for that to, and then everybody loses their shit. It's like, what is she talking about? We know the black hats are these guys and the white hats are those guys. And this is how this cowboy and Indians kind of deal was defined for us. This is exactly the same thing. It's like the pink skin cowboys against the red skin locals here and the brown skin locals over there, which is happening right now. So we have seen this before, but the media has painted the pink skins as the guys with the white hat, the good guys, although they're from somewhere else. They're not local. Exactly how Americas came into being. The non-locals went in and shoved the locals into the sea, sometimes literally. But folks, just stop reproducing. Nobody's that special. It's not like, okay, we are so special, we need to populate this world of my own kind as much as I can because I'm special. I got a special DNA. This is when I look at the British, this is what I see. They kept 90 million population, 100 million population right now living on their island, and you're thinking to yourself, 100 million, can that island support 100 million? Oh, it can support 100 million if you go colonize and steal from others, or else that island cannot feed 90 million people. So the British have always been pirates, have always been stealing. The British, there is one country that you can. And the funny thing is, as an alien, you look at it, you see the Iranians always orderly, trying to keep order on this fucking non-existent Silk Road that used to be there, so their personalities is of order, keeping order on their land. And you guys are sanctioning this and trying to say, no, we don't want that order. It's order. Folks, if you ask the 500,000 Iraqis that died since the invasion of Iraq, through direct Allies action, Allies and Axis, what the fuck? They just came up with Allies and Axis, white hats, black hat, meet black hats. Why? Why? Because they're locals, because they didn't agree when you pick their leaders for them? Uncle Sam, we already know the British picked up to the Qajar dynasty. These motherfuckers were picked locally. Whoever had the biggest penis became the leader. But right then at Pahlavi, the British chose Reza. Yes, go in. The same way they chose Mobutu Sese Seko. It was just an instrument for them to keep control, and they felt he has a big enough penis that he can keep control, i.e. a governor. The British picked a governor, and you helped them. Well, you helped with the second one. That's for sure. With the second one, the son was, again, he wasn't a leader. He was an intellectual, but he wasn't a leader. He had too much, respect for himself. Looking down at people all the time. If those people are a little intelligent, they don't feel like, they should be looked down at for a long time. and but they are orderly. This is my problem here, is that they are orderly. They are trying to keep orders, and by blockading them, NATO is trying to break their order. Okay, as an alien, as long as people are not getting killed, that's fine. Order, no killing, disorder, killing. What was the need for Fallujah? I mean, I've seen documentaries on Fallujah that says basically we had to go house per house. House per house? I'm seeing, imagine an alien seeing this from space and saying that a group of people from this hemisphere went to that hemisphere, went to their little shed holes of house, whatever shed holes, that one by one they had to, in one town they had to go house per house to, to suppress the local resistance. The local resistance to people who are not local. I'm not talking about Uncle Sam, I'm talking about, the army of the Saudi Arabia running over Iraq. Let's imagine. It's like, it's not local. So whoever is not local, the locals will put up some kind of resistance. I mean, you could imagine that if the Russians decided to say hi in Alaska, the locals are going to put up some kind of resistance because it's not local. They get their orders from these guys, not those guys. At least since, 19 whatever, 18 whatever. But the point is this: sanctioning countries, people, groups of people, and then going to war with them after those sanctions, does it have a justification? Does it have a logical justification? Does it have a intellectual justification? We are going in to change what? To change the leader? They got this leader, he's got them under control. Is order taking place, and if you take your knee off their neck, and economically and politically, if you take your knees off their neck, they're going to be fine. They've got a lot of educated people. They had in Iraq. What was the purpose of the war? Somebody had order there. I mean, you can send them teachers, you can send them tourists. You don't have to send them soldiers. Okay, there is a guy with a big penis over there, he has order. Okay, he has order. But you're a little uncomfortable with his, strictness. All right, give him, more. Say, hey, I can send you more money through tourists. And this is another thing, my pink-skinned friends, Uncle Sam, you gotta help me with this. Your cruise industry is poison, in my view. Not a literal poison, a figurative poison. The cruise industry is stealing the money, is doing many bad things to the world, the cruise industry. Because imagine that there was no cruise industry, and all these people who wanted to have a holiday had to go to another country. A lot of good comes out of that. A lot of social good comes out of that. A lot of political good comes out of that. A lot of economic good comes out of that. If you're saying that guy with the big penis named Saddam Hussein, he's not, he's not one of us. He has to be sanctioned and then he has to be physically removed. Okay, he has to be physically. Has it got better? Has it got better? It's been 20 years now. No, it hasn't got better. So you just cost 500,000 lives, directly or indirectly, and things never didn't get better after 20 years. Do you think, from the perspective of the 500,000 who have perished, do you think they care who was ruling? They were living and having a half-assed life. It's not like their life has become 1,000 times better, or the life of the ones who are alive, has it become 1,000 times better, or 100 times, 10 times better? No, it has got worse. The guy had some kind of order going. If you had treated him nice, and the same respect that you give Sweden. This is the thing, Uncle Sam. I love you, man. If you can give the same respect that you give to Sweden, you give the same respect to Venezuela or Cuba, they're both going to, shake your hand and kiss your cheek. I can assure you, figuratively and literally. Because they're intelligent people. And that's why they didn't want to be a colony. They didn't want to take orders. They didn't mind being asked and receiving favors, but they didn't want to be ordered. The thing with choosing the leader for the Iranians, which Uncle Sam did by choosing Shah and backing him, is that, first of all, just because the guy was the other guy's son, does that make a good leader? Was it just the last minute pick from the supermarket? It's like, okay, which one of you motherfuckers should be put in charge? Yeah, okay, you're his son, right? Yeah, okay, you be in charge. Okay, even if you want to run an empire, dude, you gotta pay a little more attention in picking leaders for these shitholes. You just, don't go any mini miny mo. The guy didn't have, what it takes to be a leader. He was a playboy. It's not bad or it's not good. It's just where you are mentally. He was mentally in Switzerland. He thought he was in Switzerland, and Iran is like Switzerland. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yes, maybe one day, but things don't go that fast. Fuck. He wanted great things for his people, but a wise man would know that you can have great things, take your time. Don't push him, don't pull him. If you throw a party for your birthday, throw it for your own people, not for, these Europeans to come and see you that you're one of them. Seriously? You were picked by the CIA. You're one of them, the European royalty? Fuck. It's like they had come for the zoo. To the zoo. He has brought them to the zoo. He brought them in quietly. He took them out quietly, without them going and sitting. That these people are still living in, 12th century. Because of the poverty, because Iran, after the Silk Road, Iran went down and down and down and down, because the Iranians were making their money from being the bottleneck of the Silk Road. They kept order and they got paid for for keeping order in that area of the Silk Road, in that bottleneck. It is what it is. They really, enjoy taking care of their land. They like to be in charge in their land. Is it my cup of tea? No. But just because, they like that land and they want to keep charge of that piece of geography on this sphere, that piece of geography on this fucking sphere, they like to, keep control. Now, I think you should help them. If you want to, if you want to evolve their thinking, first of all, talk with them. Second of all, trade with them. And if you really want to evolve their thinking, you should send your tourists to them. Cruise industry is killing the world in many ways. Here's the thing, I got sidetracked from the tourists. Why tourists are good? Here's the thing, Uncle Sam, you're not sending enough Americans overseas. Whatever Americans you're sending overseas are soldiers. All these 11 aircraft carriers, this is basically however much of Americans people overseas see of America. They're soldiers. If lucky, not that, just their corporations, that they're Kentucky Fried Chicken on the street, that's what they see as footprint of the empire, if they're lucky. If they're not lucky, they see your soldiers. But you're not sending any tourists. You're not sending any teachers. It's sort of like, if you want to, whatever leader you have a problem with Kim Jong-un in North Korea, shake hands, kiss cheek, and tell them, we let you trade whatever you want, do whatever the fuck you want, however trade you want to do, whatever work you want to do. No, everything, sanctions off, everything off. One condition, we like to send 10,000 tourists a month or a year. Who cares? Start with a year. We want to send 10,000 tourists per year to you. Is that okay? And then I guess subsidize the airfare. The least you can do for to encourage Americans to travel to North Korea. You want to change them, right? You want to soften them. You want to make friends out of them. What better than tourists? Say, hey, we send you tourists. We send you teachers. You want to learn English? We teach it to you ourselves. We teach you English and we send you tourists. Is that okay with you? And the guy is gonna, do a math and find out that each tourist will bring his country at least a couple of $1,000s. Yes, of course. Come on in. Folks, this whole idea of if we don't like you, we're not going to talk to you. The world is, the planet is a closed space. It's a closed space. It's like living in a room and trying to not hit each other. Or try not to talk each other. You cannot live in a household and not talk with each other. 2, 3, 4, 5 people cannot live in a house. A family cannot live in a house without talking with each other. It just can't happen. Short periods, yes. Long periods, no. Because it's just things will stop functioning. The point is this. You have to trade and talk and send and receive tourists. If you think your way is the best way and you want to convince them to turn to your way, you have to open the doors even more, not less. If you believe in your way, which I do, you have to open the doors more. In fact, tell them that, yes, we will drop the sanctions if you allow us to send you 10,000 American tourists next year. within 5 years of 10,000 American tourists per year, you think the whole structure, even, even people who are close to, even people who are part of the structure, that you say, oh, it's so bad, the structure is right now so bad, even those people will get new ideas, will be in contact with people who have been in contact with people who have been in contact with people who have been in contact with your tourists. It affects the society. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. Folks, neither Iraq nor Afghanistan should have been taken over by the pink skin because of something 15 Saudi Arabians did. 15 of the 19 were from Saudi Arabia. 15 of the 19 were from Saudi Arabia. And then, because one of these Saudis happened to be renting in somebody else's house, suddenly we go and take over the house. Uncle Sam is now the owner of a nice big shed hole. And Iraq, that wasn't a shed hole, is now a shed hole. So now Uncle Sam is the owner of 2 shed holes. And you understand that there are still people like Mr. Pompeo who still don't think there's enough shed holes. They want to make a shed hole out of Iran as well, by eventually attacking Iran. Sort of, yes, there are not enough shed holes. We have created, that was a shed hole. Afghanistan before we come in, now it's still a shed hole. And Iraq, it wasn't a shed hole. It had an order, it had something, it had a structure. We broke everything, and they're still at it, trying to fucking put in the foundation after 20 years. After 500,000 people, Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, Homo Neanderthal mix were eliminated. But they had brown skin. Who cares? They weren't a pink skin citizen, they were brown skin citizen. Who cares about the brown skin citizen? They don't exist. Bad. Brown skin citizen, black skin inhabitants of this planet, red skin inhabitants of this planet are not worth squat. Apparently 1 pinky of a pink skin is worth 10 black skin and 5 brown skin. I love you, folks. I love you. Uncle Sam, I love you. And I love you, pink skins. You're smart people, but fuck, smart people, you got smart people, you got to put smart people in charge. You can't have cowboys in charge. You can't have show business people in charge. You can't have showmen in charge. You can't have actors in charge. You cannot have plumbers in charge. You cannot have carpenters in charge. You cannot have football coaches in charge. You cannot folks, it's a very sophisticated piece of machinery that needs very sophisticated people to run it. It has a lot of knobs and buttons and things that have to be set for it to function well. You must have some kind of standards as to who you let in become a candidate. Even army has a standard. It says, hey, you got to be this tall, you got to be run this fast, you got to be able to jump this high for us to let you shoot other people. But the point is this. So even army has standards. If an army has standards, every other job also has standards. Why is it that Republican Party keeps coming up with these doozies that say, okay, it seems like they don't have no standards? People liked him. People liked him. People like Bozo the Clown. That doesn't mean people are, people are right. You have taken this democracy, as with everything else, Uncle Sam. I love you. As with everything else, you have taken this democracy too far. People don't know their ass from the hole in the ground. Average Joe, average guy, me. I don't know my ass from the hole in the ground. I might not know my ass from the hole in the ground. It's not that difficult, especially if the educational system that Mr. Reagan decided to do away with is not important in a society to have an educational system. And after that, it has gone, it hasn't become much better. It has become worse. Because there's no money for education. The money is in, javelin missiles. The money is not in education. It doesn't make that much money, especially only at higher levels. Only if you have a football team, you make money in education. You have a football team that you don't have to pay the football players. They're students. Yeah, right. Folks, this capitalism thing, you have taken it too far. Democracy thing, you have taken it too far. Capitalism without some kind of social conscience is, a jungle, the Wild West. Democracy without standards, democracy without actually saying that, okay, we only allow people above this intellectual level in as our candidate. I mean, for the past long time, my lifetime, you guys have been, picking, both mostly Republican Party has been fronting the average Joe. Mr. T was average Joe, Mr. Bush was after average Joe, Mr. Reagan was average Joe. Yeah, average Joe. I love to have a beer with average Joe. No problem. We talk. Oh, we talk. But the whole point is this. But I don't. The guy who has to know all these knobs, he probably doesn't have time for me. He's reading something. He doesn't have the time to, sit down and have a beer. He's probably researching something right now. But the point is this, that you want these people who, they let their work speak for themselves. You see what I'm saying? They let their work, you look at their work, good, solid academic work with a lot of education and gathered a lot of information. What is education? Just gathering information. The guy has gathered a lot of information. The guy has gathered a lot of information and making sense of that information and, connecting that information and providing it to the next generation. That's the work of a very intelligent guy. You need that guy in charge. So that guy understands that sanctions don't work. If a student misbehaves, he doesn't stop talking with the student. In fact, he has to start talking more with the student. If Uncle Sam has to become the teacher of the world, from the bully, if Uncle Sam wants to return back to a better place, be a better empire, We go back to where Uncle Sam was a good empire. When Uncle Sam was the teacher, that was the good times. Uncle Sam has turned into the bully recently, since the uneducated folks were given the position of the power. The only executive seat in the land is top executive seat in the land, and that has to be one person, and we have to, give it to somebody, give it to average George. But the point is this: you have done this, and these you have a nice planet going on here, folks, but you're giving power to people who do not know better, because it's obvious, because they weren't in any academic field, they don't know much about anything, and you have given them the wheel of the ship. As I said before, legislature is 1,000 people, judiciary is 9, and executive only 1. And why not? Let's give that seat to the cook, because we feel we can. There's no law for it. Oh, of course there's no law for it, but they thought, these parties had more sense than, these people had more sense than fronting, average people. I mean, when your candidate, the candidate that your party sends forward is an average guy, that doesn't say much about your party. No, average is not good. Average is good. I love to have beer with average. I am average. But the leader should not be average. The leader, not that the leader should be rich, not that the leader should, no. The leader should have a high IQ. The leader should be a thinker. The leader should be, in academic fields. The leader should be somebody who, understands that if things take effect under his name, he may be responsible for things that may take effect 25 years or 50 years down the road. Only an intelligent man would recognize that you don't want to take certain actions because its repercussions way down the road is going to be shit for a lot of people. So why create that kind of situation? Why take the step in the first place if you're going to create a lot of headache for a lot of people? Then you don't take that action. An intelligent person would not take that action. But the less intelligent person, the average guy, most of the time doesn't really understands the repercussions of anything. It can't see 25 years down the road. Can't see 50 years down the road because he's average. Your economy with so many homeless and so many helpless and so many shelterless and so many uneducated, but we got $150,000 Javelin missile. We're blowing up a lot of goats in the deserts of Iraq. That's the economy, and this is the governing system of elections, where there was an honor system of picking, fronting. Each party should front the most intelligent person they could find, and now, it's about whether the guy can run or jump or, Mr. It was very interesting. Mitt Romney's running mate, Paul Ryan, came up with the ad that he was, working out, and you're like, that was like a good thing. That was his way of trying to relate to the average Joe. And he was working out, showing, and you're like thinking, fuck. That's the problem. You're picking the jocks. The guy is not, showing a picture of himself playing chess. Doesn't play chess, doesn't want to be seen playing chess. Even if he does play chess, wants to hide the fact that he does play chess because, that would be the geeky thing, and not voters would not be impressed. So I'm going to, pump iron. It's like, do they know this job is not a, brawny job? Does the voter understand that this job is a, brainy job, and you're flexing your muscle in the ad? And that's what I mean. There is no need for the leader to try to. This is what I'm trying to say, that your democracy has gone haywire. There is no reason for the potential leader to try to appeal to the average Joe. If there is a standard behind them that says they both have to be PhDs. Now, if there is a PhD out there that, with 25 years of teaching experience that does also, play basketball, fine, great, bring him in. Or pump iron, fine, even better, bring him in. But not having no standards, because the average Joe doesn't understand. That's what I'm saying, that the Uncle Sam, love you, man. Your political system, this what they call democracy, has gone haywire because the parties have not set any minimum requirements for the entry into democratic race. There are no minimum requirements. So any average Joe can apply and say, and if his dad is rich enough, or the last name is well recognized, or he was on TV, or something that average Joe spent a bunch of time, in being entertained by, like Reagan and his movies. Average Joe knew him, was entertained by him, and said, yes, let's vote for him. Very entertaining, very entertaining. This has come down to this, and this is not good. This is not good. You don't want average people, and there is no need for any of these candidates to try to appeal to the average folks, as there is no need for that. If both parties agree to set a standard of saying that, okay, we only allow people with PhDs to enter into these races, or PhDs with substantial years of experience enter into these races, then there is a good chance you're going to get a reasonable outcome. There is a good chance that both parties are going to be fronting, two brainiacs with ideas of their own, with, actual understanding. So maybe bad decisions can be avoided. A few bad decisions can be avoided. Like a lot of wars. Wars don't start by intelligent people, even if the other side is intelligent. Even if the other side is not intelligent, If you're intelligent, there is a very small possibility there would be war. And the war is the least intelligent thing you people do.